All right, we are talking hoops today with Inside Nova. I'm Trevor Bratko. We have sports extraordinaire Dave Fawcett here. Headline of the day of yesterday: Osbourn Park girls win their second consecutive state title against Manchester. Game was played down in Richmond. Dave, how did it unfold?
So I think if you talk to most people at the start of this basketball season, when it came to Class 6 girls basketball, I think most people, if not all, would have said, Osbourn Park is clearly the favorite to win this again. And there was good reason for that. I mean, with who they had coming back. But as the season, went on, they already started the season without one of their starters, Peyton Walters, first team All State player from last season who had torn her ACL in April. They also were without Alex Brown, their big post player who had graduated and is at Stony Brook. But still, still chugging along in a good place. Then they lost their point guard, Samia Sneed, to a torn ACL in the region final, February 27th. So at that point, you're going, wow, maybe going from the runaway favorite now to maybe the slight favorite
Mm.
because of these losses, and especially losing Sneed. That they knew they'd be without Walters to start the season, obviously Alex Brown, but now their point guard, who's kind of the one that makes everything go, and
And
so
a Division One commit, right? I mean,
and
she's
going to Longwood, and she'd been
yeah,
part of the program 4 years, and she's your point guard, and at this, you're now what 3 games away from winning it all. If you get that far, it could throw a lot of things off.
yeah.
She wasn't just a role player. She was, everything kind of ran through her. So, there had to be some adjustments, and certainly um, they made those. But I think going into the state final, they're playing a Manchester team that was there last year. They beat. It only lost 1 game this season. So, you're thinking, well, it's probably going to be a close game, and it was. It also wasn't the prettiest game to watch.
Yeah.
Neither team shot particularly well. There were stretches there where things were kind of moving along, and other stretches were not so much. But
Yeah,
what
it was a low scoring game,
and
48-42.
it just had moments of just kind of it just kind of out of sync, out of rhythm. But regardless, in the end, what you saw was, even though this was in some ways a different OP team, as far as because they had to adjust to losses and graduations and all that, in some ways it was the same because everything, no matter who's out there on the floor, is anyone who knows a Chrissy Kelly team, who's the OP head coach, everyone knows it's going to start with defense. And
Mhm.
if you're not playing defense for her, and I mean going all in, you're not going to play, or you're going to play barely, because that's what she expects. So that was going to be the difference in how Manchester was going to adjust to OP's pressure defense. And I think in the end, that ended up being, the biggest difference. Um, Along those lines, they certainly had Key Rainey back, who was she was the state player of the year last year. She's their best offensive player,
State
and they
Player of the
really
Year
needed
and
her.
returning for her senior
Yeah, and she'll
senior
be the.
year.
I mean, they haven't officially voted on that. She'll be the player of the year again this
Yeah.
year, as she should be. She's the best player on the court yesterday, and she showed it. She finished with 24 points. She scored half of OP's points
What a way
yesterday,
to go out. What a way to close out a career.
and and she just did it the way she does it. There was
Yeah.
nothing flashy. She's just a player who knows how to get to the basket, make the big plays. I think she was 11 of 14 from the field, scored OP's first 10 points when they started off on a 16-2 run. But she's been really the primary scorer. And so, well, we still need to, we still got to pick up in other areas. And that's where the defense really kicked in. And so what's kind of, I guess, typical of this team is that there's a just a common thread there where they just all know their roles, and no one tries to overstep. No, and do once in a while I might try to do much. They're high school kids, but in general,
Yeah.
everybody knows, and they're very unselfish. So that's what you saw time and time again. And I think there's a resilience there too. Most of these kids were there last year. They knew how to, in pressure situations, they were ready, and they didn't fold. And so you just saw all these, these things. And I think the final piece of that is Chrissy Kelly, the
Yeah.
coach. Um, she's tough, she's
Yeah.
demanding, she's intense. Anybody who plays for her knows what's coming, and they know what to expect. And it's, and she's going to be on them. But there's a reason for that, and it comes from a good place, and she wants them. She's a teacher at heart. She's trying to get them to understand what she wants and what to do. And so when you see, and they respond to that, I think they get that, they want more of that, they crave that, and then you see, the end result and how they play. And so I think all those things, even though it was a low scoring game and all that, I think you still saw all those things come together and did enough, despite losing two first team all state players,
Unbelievable.
despite having really no post presence.
Hmm.
They're still able to come out on top against some really overcome some really challenging circumstances, and they made it look, it wasn't easy, but they certainly did what they had to do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect a state title to be easy. Going back through the game coverage, it felt like they were always in control. Now it tightened up. Would you say that, I mean, from my kind of reading of your coverage, of our coverage, it felt like they were in control, but it got close at
It
the
got
end.
close. Like Manchester only led once, and that was the first when they scored the first 2 points of the
Two
game.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, but they made OP made a run. They got them up 16-2. Manchester came back. I think OP kind of got a little lax there, but again, Manchester's good. They don't get to this position by just luck. So, yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. But I think that's fair. Anytime Manchester got close enough, OP would make a play. Now it may not
Mhm.
be, it may be a basket, maybe a turnover, something that was enough, yes, to
Right.
keep the momentum going in their favor.
Yeah. Talking about Coach Kelly, now she has a long storied run in Prince William ladies basketball. She was at Forest Park before. Is that right?
Yeah, this is her 19th year as a head coach.
Mhm.
Her first head coaching job was at Forest Park when the school opened in 2000, and she within 4 years, I think, yeah, 2004, and then again in 2006, she led Forest Park to the state title. Then she had Monica Wright, who was a All American player at high school at UVA, and then played in WNBA. I would say the best female girls basketball, well, female girl, best female basketball
Yeah.
player ever to come out of Prince William County. Um, and then she left Forest Park, then eventually ended up at South County. So head coach, was there for 3 seasons. Was an assistant for a couple of different places, and then got the OP job as the head coach. This is I said her ninth year. So collectively, she's only 12 wins away. I added up last night. She's only 12 wins away from 400 for her career. She's got 4 state titles now. What was interesting too yesterday is the fact that, well, two things. It was almost just a day over the exact 20th anniversary of when she won her second state title at Forest Park. Also, the fact that OP is now the first boys or girls Prince William County Public High School to win back-to-back boys or girls state titles. So there was a lot of significance. What I'll just about Chrissy, I'll say this too. Now, if you mentioned, I mean, she's not a big accolades person for herself. Like if you told her, hey, you asked her how many wins do you have, I don't know. She wouldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that in a I don't care way. It's just she's got more important things she's thinking about and
Mhm.
focus on with those kids and getting her team ready and prepared and all those things. But yeah, it's a pretty accomplished record. I mean, no one's. I mean, as far as girls basketball in the county has obviously won that many state titles and
Yeah.
certainly not won that many games.
It sounds like we can book that page for the Inside Nova Sports pages. Coach Kelly's gets 400. I think that's a story we'll be filing next year, next season.
Right.
It seems I'm thinking of the banner. It seems like tough love, discipline, resilient. It's like that's kind of the story of this Osbourn Park team. Know your role, do it. Play your ass off.
And
And
that's
go win that
right.
title.
And that's the thing. And again, anyone who knows her, again, whether you're talking Forest Park 20 years ago or, OP today, that's just always been her
Hmm.
mantra. I mean, that's just what she does. Now, obviously, she's been blessed with talent. I mean, Monica Wright is a phenomenal talent. Key Rainey is a phenomenal talent. So yeah, obviously you got to have,
Yeah,
you got to be blessed with some players to work with as well.
no doubt.
But you also have to know what to do with them. And everyone just kind of just being there and doing their thing and not getting worried about who's getting playing time and She's just not going to put up. I mean, if it's going on, she's not going to put up with it. So, this is what I expect. Everything she does has a reason and a motivation to it. It's not a reaction all the time. She knows what she's doing as far as how to motivate, how to push, and those girls understand that. And so, yeah, you might have to have a little bit of a thick skin, but
Mhm.
you understand where it's coming from and why. And so, yeah, you
Yeah.
see the end
I mean,
result.
it's clear, yeah, it's clearly paid off, and she's sending these ladies out into the world stronger, tougher.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
so like you said, she's a coach, a teacher, a mentor, and just we kind of can't praise her enough, it seems. Really, hats off to her, and hats off to the what year is it? 2026 Osbourn Park ladies on their second consecutive title, the first boys or girls team to ever win back-to-back state champs.
And I would say, and the kind of maybe the frightening thing is they may not be done. They
Yeah.
it was interesting yesterday. After they won, you could hear some chants from the stands, three Pete, and
Yeah.
that's kind of throwing it out there. But it's not
Yeah.
unrealistic. They obviously graduate some. Samia's gone, Sneed. They got Key Rainey. They lose some
Mhm.
key players, but they've got some key ones coming back. Obviously, Peyton Walters will be back.
Walters.
Janie
Yep.
Salinas is another Division I recruit is back. And really, what's really kind of interesting, they have three freshmen this year who go 6'2", 6'3", 6'3". Now, they didn't play a lot this year because they really didn't need to. Plus, they're young. You got to have to work your way in. You can't just,
Yeah.
they're learning to, play at that level. But even though they may, so you'll see maybe some more height from them next year
Mhm.
and things like that. But it's not beyond the realm of possibility, I think, to see them back not only in the state final again next year, but with a
Yeah.
chance to win it all.
What's that? Dynasty. The word dynasty is just popping into my head here a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
We also should mention the Westfield boys claimed the out of Fairfax County. They claimed the Class 6 boys state title yesterday. So we should tip the cap to them. Congrats, fellas! Great work on that. Um, but Osborne Park ladies are just a dominant performance, and you can catch all of our coverage. We have a photo gallery up from the games, game stories, full coverage, backstories. And so please, head to InsideNoVa.com, read Dave and our freelancers' excellent top tier coverage of yesterday's events. I did want to give one plug, Dave, also to the kind of uh, feature story you did this week on Jim Rodgers, a Prince William coaching legend, who we lost, who the world lost recently. I would encourage anybody interested in either A, Prince William County sports, B, just phenomenal writing, to head to InsideNoVa.com and read Dave's piece on on the late Jim Rodgers. Dave, what can you tell us about Jim?
So what's interesting, I mean, Jim was a longtime cross country and track coach at Woodbridge. Um, he started there in 1970 and he led the school to its first two state titles in boys cross country in 74 and 75. I think he retired after 23 years. I think his last year, gosh, was 2003. I think he retired
Mhm.
after that. So, obviously he's been, out of the, coaching for, gosh, over 20 years. But what I think was I think important to remember, before, I'll even tell you, before there was an OP girls basketball, there was a Forest Park. Before there was a Forest Park girls basketball, there was a guard. There's it's easy to kind of get caught up in the moment and think, well, this is all there ever was. But when you kind of take a big picture, wide view of things and kind of the history of sports in this county, there were those that came before that, kind of paved the way, laid a
Yeah.
foundation for those to follow. And Jim Rodgers was one of those people when it came to cross country in Woodbridge. In 1970, there were two high schools in the east end of the county. It was Garfield and Woodbridge. So, and what he started there, doing and getting off the ground, getting a girls cross country program started. Things today that people just take for granted. Well, of course, there was always girls cross country. Well, there really always
Yeah.
wasn't. And so, what he did there, obviously, he was very successful, had a lot of success there, but also kind of his impact. He coached another schools and other places, but I think Woodbridge was really his home and where he felt most connected to. And so when people, Woodbridge, even today, I mean, even though people may not know the name, those connected with the program know his impact. I mean, the track's named after him. He's in the School Hall of Fame. Woodbridge's boys cross country has won 9 state titles, which is tied for, I think, second in state history. But it was interesting. I was talking to Kelly McGreal, who's the current Woodbridge cross country coach, and he said how many people today, when they think about Woodbridge and they connect with her, even though she didn't know Jim, bring up his name because of his legacy, because he's the one that kind of got things going. So yeah, it's a different era then for sure. But I thought it was important. It's very sad. He died in a car accident. He was a passenger. A car accident. A motorcycle just speeding rammed into his side of the car. He was taken to the local hospital and then excuse me, passed away the next day. But
Thoughts with his family, of course, very
yeah,
sad.
but people were very, when they think about him and they think about his contributions. Another one I would say, his wife Linda said tough but fair. Another one who was no nonsense,
Yeah,
but those kids, responded to him and would have, they just
quite quite the
done anything for him.
legacy. Quite the
Yes.
legacy. So yeah, everyone go. So he only he coached both boys and girls track
Oh
and
yeah,
and
yeah, because that's what you do.
and cross country. Yeah,
Yeah,
track and cross country.
yep.
Yeah.
He started the indoor track team, I think, at Woodbridge. The girls cross country. These were all 1970. These things are just they're not, like I said, automatics they are today. Everything's still kind. There's
Someone has to come
Woodbridge,
along and get it off the ground, and
and
that was
Woodbridge was
Jim.
only 6 years old at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, somebody needs to get doing what needs to get done, and so he kind of established that legacy that then others have obviously carried on. But he and those kids, well, they're not kids now. A lot of them aren't kids anymore. They're
Right, right,
adults with
right.
families.
Not
But
anymore, anyways. But yeah.
anyway, think the world of him because of, and it's funny even talking to the stories, people who say kids, I keep saying kids, people who played for him, ran for him 50 years ago can have vivid memories of
Wow.
how he impacted them in details because of, and coaches as well, because of how he, made a positive difference in their lives.
Well, both he and Coach Kelly at Osbourne Park are sending, wonderful, well-trained, strong humans out into the world, preparing them for life beyond high school and beyond college. So those memories last, and the impact is felt. A lot of Prince William students and kids are lucky to have these mentors and role models in their life. To your good point, don't take it for granted. Learn, grow. Uh, all right, Dave. Thank you so much. It's great hopping back on here to talk some hoops. The 25-26 basketball season in the books. We will now move on to spring sports and all of the other news that Inside Nova is handling. Education, local politics, local business, government, data centers. Everyone, please give a like, follow, subscribe to Inside Nova, InsideNoVa.com, Inside Nova Prince William. Check out our newsletters and hit us up on all the socials. Dave, a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Yep.
guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.